Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, joined by Dennis from Windmill Slam. Dennis, how's it going?
It's going great. How is everyone over on the other side of the pond?
We're
By
doing pretty
pond, I mean
good.
Atlantic Ocean.
Jamming a lot of shadows over Innistrad.
hmm
How much have you done so far?
I have done five drafts and five sealed leagues.
That's way more than I've done.
Yeah,
So,
I've done a lot. I was kind of hungover on Saturday, and that was kind of all I did all day. So,
do you feel like you've learned anything?
no, I haven't.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like I still got a ton to learn. I haven't been happy.
yeah.
I've drafted 3 times. I haven't been happy with any of my decks so far.
Ooh. I've been doing pretty well. Like this is the time in formats when I do the best by far because I think my raw card evaluation skills are like a little bit above average, and that gives me an edge for like the first 3 weeks of the format, and then everybody else catches up, and then I'm back to terrible again.
Well, what archetypes have you tried so far?
Humans, green white humans is good. Green blue is also fine. Didn't haven't really been loving vampires very much,
Yeah, me neither. I had bad luck with that,
honestly.
but I didn't.
Like,
I tried to make it work, and if you don't make the archetype work for the colors, you end up in
mhm,
a big problem. Like I was playing black red, but I didn't get enough vampires, but I had like a ton of removal. So it was like a ton of removal with some evasive guys, and it like a hodgepodge of stuff with good removal isn't really good
mhm.
enough for this format. I don't feel like yet, you know.
What I've learned is that Avacyn is great, and I would recommend opening her if possible.
Wow, that's a great suggestion for our viewers. I like that.
um, she's stupid good. Also, she's worth when I opened it, she's worth like 45 tickets, which is no joke.
Jeez. Yeah. No,
But
she looks insane, and she's mythic. Have you gotten a chance to play any of the mythics yet? I played the 6-drop green one that seasons past that you can return converted mana costs from your
yeah,
graveyard to your hand. I never got to play it once, and it was like,
I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. I haven't played it. I've
I think it's actually pretty good if you if like it's a good way to get card advantage in the late game.
I have opened one Avacyn, three of the Hydra,
Oh, okay.
three Nahiris as well,
What? You've opened 3 of the Planeswalker?
and one of them is a foil.
Jeez. In 5 drafts? Oh, you did the sealed league too, though.
Sealed leagues, yeah.
That's still
Um,
a lot.
yeah, and I've opened Always Watching like 4 times. I know that's only a rare, but it's great. Anyway, we're getting way off track.
Yeah, yeah. We got to focus on the episode today. It's just kind of exciting time, with the
No, that's
new
fair.
set and everything. All right. So, in fact, our episode from last week had to do with redesigning a card from Shadows over Innistrad. So, uh, originally the card was called Vessel of Volatility,
hmm
and our mission was to redesign it. And do we still need to explain how this show works? We get a card spec from you guys. We design it. You guys vote for which one you like more, and then
hmm
we tally up your votes. And first to 5 gets to basically make the other person do something very embarrassing, which
hmm
we haven't quite
We haven't nailed
disclosed.
down quite yet,
Yeah,
but you know.
we don't know what it is yet. But okay, so from last week, we had Vessel of Potential, which was Dennis's card, and it's 1 in a
hmm
red enchantment. 1 in a red, sacrifice it, exile the top 2 cards of your library until end of turn. You may play cards exiled this way. Mine was Vessel of Monstrosity, 1 in a red, 1 in a red, sacrifice Vessel of Monstrosity. Target attacking creature you control gets +4/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. At the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice it.
hmm
Final score was 68% for Dennis, 32% for me,
What?
which
What?
does give Dennis another point. So we can go over critiques of one another's cards.
Uh
Since I was the loser, perhaps we critique mine first.
huh. Like your card's totally fine. It's just it's a little boring. And I get that, monstrosity, so you hit him once, but like it's you want it to be the last thing you do in the game, ideally, I guess. I have to say, I really like your flavor text.
Hey,
And
thanks.
that means a lot coming from me.
It does. Thank you.
I really like it. Honestly, I don't think your cards. I don't. I can't. I'm struggling to think of anything wrong with your card. If I'm perfectly honest with you.
It seems like
Um,
I'm trying to think what a lot of the viewers said. I think a lot of them said it kind of erred on the weak side because you have to sacrifice the creature. Um,
Sure.
and that the trick is an onboard trick. So the fact that your opponent knows it's coming in advance lets them sort of get an advantage there.
But it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't thing. Although it's very difficult to get a card out of Vessel of out of your card.
Um,
Like it's because you're down a creature, and the +4/+0 isn't really worth a card. You know what I mean?
yeah, I like thematically what I was thinking was Monstrosity. Innistrad is a horror trope set, so I wanted it to
Sure.
sort of have a tie to that. I wanted it to interact with Delirium, which is why I had to sacrifice the creature at the end of turn. So it not only is putting an enchantment in your yard, it's putting a creature
Sure.
in your yard. And someone else mentioned, I didn't even realize this, it's actually got good Skulk uh, applications too.
Yeah.
Because you could,
What I like about it is the reason they have the flip cards in Innistrad is because you have an element of fear and tension, which are like key horror aspects of like, ooh, is the card gonna flip or is it gonna flip back? And that uncertainty is what's scary about it. And having a card like yours on the table, knowing your opponent's gonna activate it at some stage, but you don't know when, you don't know why, and all this stuff, is great in that kind of way. I actually think it's really good. If I'm honest, I think your card is better.
well, most people did
Maybe I'm
not
going a
agree.
few layers too deep for
I
that.
do like that you
Uh,
don't have to, like you said, flip your like your werewolves. It's cool that you can just use this onboard trick and then not and still flip your werewolf, you know?
mhm.
Um, oh, and we did get emails. A couple emailers voted for mine, so thank you for that. And two emailers mentioned they really liked the Jekyll and Hyde aspect of my card, and I thought that was really cool because that was sort of the idea. Civilized Scholar, Homicidal Brute was the
Mhm.
original, and I wanted to sort of keep it that theme. If you remember Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, they drink the
Mhm.
potion, he turns into the monster, all of that.
Spoilers.
Okay, so on to yours, Dennis. Vessel of Potential. We've seen this effect in red.
Mhm.
Exiling the top two cards or exiling cards from the top, and then you have a limited window of time to play those cards. I
Mhm.
actually like this style of card draw in red more than the rummage effect.
Me too.
The problem, the only problem I really see with yours, and no one seemed to mention this, is that it really doesn't interact well with the cards and shadows over Innistrad. Like it doesn't
I
work.
did debate putting the cards you didn't cast into your graveyard at the end of the turn.
Yeah, so it doesn't feed Delirium. It also doesn't work with Madness, right?
No, there's no discard. So it's like the big downside of my card is you could put my card in M15 and it'd be fine. You
Yeah,
know?
I think that is the only major gripe I had about your card was it doesn't feel like it really. There's nothing that ties it to Shadows over Innistrad. But
There's nothing overly horror-y about my card.
yeah, but I mean
There is a little bit of the whole with like the flavor text and stuff. There's a little bit of the whole like buying the cursed lamp from the merchant type
I guess that's
trope
true. Kind of
thing.
like the monkey's paw thing a little bit. I like
Exactly.
that.
And like it can bite you in the ass if you just hit two if you just hit two lands, you're like, oh great. Um but like it does have kind of like a monkey's paw feel to it. And I think the reason my card won is because it's called Vessel of Potential and my flavor text is from potential customer. And I think that's like
I
80% of the
don't think
reason.
so. No one mentioned that. I think what people liked about your card, I think people just liked this effect in red.
Yeah.
A couple people mentioned in fact, I think the couple people that voted for me just said it should be an uncommon. Like it doesn't feel like a common effect
Yeah.
in red, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with. I mean, totally you're investing 4 mana. I'm okay with this being a common effect.
hmm
I don't think that's a huge deal.
I
But
don't think it was not a power level issue, it's a complication issue. And like the most recent one of those is Act on Impulse, which was an uncommon.
yeah, and that was from
So
Core Set, is that right?
and like it's a little bit weird to explain to new players, so maybe you don't want it a common, but uncommon really isn't that big a step up from common.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like I said, my only gripe with the card was the fact that it doesn't feel tied to Shadows over Innistrad. But other than
Mhm.
that, it's a very well designed card, and it would absolutely
Oh,
see
thank
infinite more play than Vessel of Volatility would in
you.
Shadows over Innistrad.
Agreed. Which was the purpose of the
Yeah.
exercise.
Okay.
So,
So let's do some commenter cards here. Um, we've got Vessel of Rage from Steam Vents,
well,
and
that's
that's
actually pretty.
one in a red, sacrifice Vessel of Rage. All creatures attack this turn if able. So what do you think about that one?
That's actually pretty good.
I think that would work actually.
I like
You'd only
Ashmouth
use it.
Swindler. That's really
I
good.
mean, you'd only
That's
use
really
it
good.
against your opponent. There's no reason you'd ever want to use it on yourself. But
It's not worth a card,
it doesn't
really.
feel. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's
It's
worth.
not good, but it is interesting and it's printable, and I really like it.
I don't know if it would even. To be honest, I don't even think it would see more play than it would probably see just as much play as Vessel of Volatility, just because
Nailed.
it is such a minor effect in
Yeah, it's
total.
so niche. Like if like the world in which you get a card out of this is so small, and even then you got a one for one, like the with what is presumably their worst creature. You
Or
ate their worst
or
creature,
it
I
kind
guess.
of has like a magmatic chasm ability a little bit to it too, where you're making them attack
Oh, you
in.
make them attack, you take the hit, and then you hit them back.
Yeah, which is still pretty minor, not that great.
It's not great.
And they still get a post combat sort of creature play.
Yeah.
So I mean, it works. It's totally in flavorfully with red, but also like, are you feeding your enemy's troops a potion? Is that what you're doing? You're like spiking their water with this.
I imagine it's more of a. I imagine it's more of like a bomb, you know, like you toss it and then it shatters,
Oh,
and then like the guys inhale
I
the
didn't even think
stuff,
about that.
and
That's a good point.
you know.
Okay, next one we have Vessel of Rummaging, and this was from Matthias Kangashaka. This was an emailer. And sorry if we didn't do your card this week. There were a few people that actually designed images, but just for like time's sake, we're only doing three.
We can only ever really do two or three,
Okay, commented
and they're
cards.
the two or three best ones every time. No, this is
I mean, at this point, we're getting like 10 or 12, so it would just take too long
sweet.
to go through them all. But Matthias's was one in a red, and then one red sacrifice. Uh-oh, you disappeared, Dennis. So one red, sacrifice Vessel of Rummaging, discard a card, draw a card. And then the flavor text is, now where did I put it? Oh, also I didn't read Steam Vents. Filled
Oh,
with real devil essence, Sven Ashmouth Swindler.
I like that a lot. That's really really good.
Yeah, I like that too, because he's a swindler. I like how deep the flavor goes on that. Okay, and then now where did I put it? Is the Vessel of Rummaging. So obviously a very weak minor effect here, but
Well,
it does have
rummaging is really good.
it has practical application in Shadows over Innistrad, right? Because you're discarding a card, so you're activating your Madness. You're also filling for Delirium, and you get a card out of it. But the clear issue is it's a one-time effect, and
Mhm.
is it worth a card? It's basically it's worth two cards to fill for Delirium, maybe generate a Madness, and draw one card.
I think you could play this card if you had a bunch of delirium spells and a bunch of madness spells. If you had a bunch of delirium spells and a couple of madness spells, I think I would play this card.
I wouldn't ever be super happy about it though. You are like ultimately paying 3 mana and two cards.
It's a little too weak. It's a
Yeah,
little too weak.
I would like to see one more thing, but I admit I don't know immediately what that is that this could
I mean,
also
you
have.
could let it rummage twice,
And then I feel like it might be too
but
good.
then that's too good. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure. Or maybe it's you may discard up to two cards and then draw a card. So that way,
It's not rummaging anymore, though. You know,
then it's like, yeah, it doesn't have that same sort of
punch.
feel to it. But yeah, I mean, that could just be tweaked a little bit, and I think it would have worked just fine. But as now, I feel like it's a little bit weak, like Vessel of Rage. Finally, we have Vessel Volatility, which kept the name, but let's see the new abilities from Colossal 43. One red, sacrifice Vessel Volatility. Up to 3 target creatures you control gain. When this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. I think it needs to be amended with until end of turn.
Until end of turn. Yeah.
Otherwise,
But
there's just...
that's really good. Well,
I use this one because I like the effect. Because it's...
I was about to say that's insane, but you're not always going to get all three.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's insane. I think it's perfectly reasonable.
This is really good. Yeah, this is really nice.
But the only amendment it needs, like I said, is the until end of turn, because otherwise it's just impossible to track.
Yeah, I assume that was just an omission on Colossal 43's part rather than a mistake.
Yes, and it fits thematically with the set too, because we've got devils in this
devils
set.
that do that. That's really good.
Yeah, so that one was my favorite one. Just a quick little amendment that it has the until end of turn. Everything else.
These
is
are getting
fine.
better. I don't like this.
Okay, suggestion for this week. This was Dennis's choice. It's from MTG Drafts. Thank you. My suggestion for next week: 1 blue-black instant uncommon bonus. I would like it to have flashback. So, as per every week, I'm going to be reading the cards. Dennis and I will not make any sort of comments on the card until next week. So, without further ado, here we go. Reality Dissolution. 1 blue-black instant uncommon. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Its controller loses 2 life. And that's 3 blue-black to flashback. And the flavor text is, "Be damned, back from whence you came." Next, we have Recoiling Amnesia. 1 blue-black, instant, uncommon. Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Then that player discards a card. 4 blue-black for the flashback. And the flavor text is, "I forget how much it hurts. Every time." Okay, how to vote. Now that you've seen the 2 cards, I'm going to upload
those. Are very similar cards.
I'm going to upload. They are. I'm going to upload those to Imager. It kind of maybe is a little bit telling about the design space for
1 blue-black instant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, like Dennis said, very similar cards. I'm going to upload those to Imager if you want to take another look at them, and I'll put that in the video description. How to vote, you can contact us at whosecardisitanyway@gmail.com. More people have been doing that. I don't know if you noticed, Dennis, but I like it. People are leaving kind of longer emails with comments and stuff. It's great. Feel free to do that if you just want to say more than you're allowed to in a YouTube comment. Twitter at WCIIA podcast. I do see there's like a regular voter on there who does like a Twitter vote, which I'm down with. I'm totally okay with that. So feel free to do that as well. Tweet us. You can leave a comment with a suggestion for next week. Remember to include the card cost, the color, the rarity, and the type. And be sure to vote. And if you're going to vote, make it clear to us who you're voting for. So say, I vote for this card. You can then make any sort of comment on either card after that. And you can leave a comment with a suggestion. Remember, we're not going to use your suggestion unless it fulfills all of those requirements. Oh, and you can throw in, like this person did. This person threw in the, I would like it to have flashback. Feel free to do that too. We have no problem. If you had something specific in mind, we'll try and accommodate that as well. Dennis, that is the end of the podcast. Feel free to make your plugs.
Yeah, you can check me out on youtube.com/WindmillslandMTG or windmillslandmtg.com. You can follow us on Twitter at the same WindmillslandMTG, or you can follow me on Twitter at @Stranjack. So you can see all my benign attempts at humor as they come in throughout the day.
Very good, and Dennis is very popular. His channel is awesome. He's a funny guy, and
I try really, really, really hard.
I know, but it also shows. People love Windmill Slam, and a lot of the Seems Good Magic community kind of overlaps with the Windmill Slam community now, so I like that a lot. Yeah, I think that's going to be it. Thank you, folks, and be sure to check out both our channels over the next coming weeks, because we're going to have a lot of Shadows over Innistrad content.
Oh, yeah, big time.
All right, see you guys later.
See you next time.